Students, let us learn chapter 6 life processes. First thing we need to know is what are life processes. All the different processes together which helps in the maintenance job of the living organism are known as life processes. And these processes includes nutrition, respiration, transportation and excretion. In this audio video of mine, I am going to explain you nutrition and respiration process. The other two processes will be explained in a later video. Nutrition means the mode of taking food by an organism and utilization by the body. There are two types of nutrition. One, autotrophic mode of nutrition. Second one, heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Let us first understand autotrophic mode of nutrition. It is the mode of nutrition in which the organism, using simple components like carbon dioxide, water, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll pigment, converts it into carbohydrates. This mode of nutrition we find generally in the green plants, and the process, I mean to say the food making process used by the green plant is known as photosynthesis. Can be represented as shown in the figure here by an equation. 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 12 molecule of water when combined in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight gives us glucose plus oxygen plus water. So this is an equation representing photosynthesis, and there are three events that occurs during the process of photosynthesis. First one is absorption of light energy by the chlorophyll pigment. Once the light energy is been absorbed, it gets converted into chemical energy. This chemical energy is used for splitting of the water into hydrogen and oxygen, which is then followed by reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. This is the whole event that takes place during the photosynthesis. Heterotrophic nutrition. It is the mode of nutrition in which an organism depends on other organism for nutrition. There are three types of heterotrophic nutrition. Number 1, parasitic mode of nutrition. Number 2, saprotrophic mode of nutrition. Number 3, holozoic mode of nutrition. Let me explain you parasitic mode of nutrition. It is a mode of nutrition in which the organism takes nutrients from the host. For example, you can find in cuscuta and also in the leeches and tapeworms. Next, it is the saprotrophic mode of nutrition. In this, the organism take the nutrients in the form of solution from the dead and decayed matter. For example, fungi in the bread mold, yeast and mushroom. Next thing is how do organisms obtain their nutrition. Since the food and the way it is obtained differs, different organism uses different ways to obtain their nutrition. For example, in a single cell organism, they may use the entire surface, but as the complexities increases, in an organism like amoeba, it uses finger-like projection known as pseudopodia. This pseudopodia helps in trapping the food, and once the food is been trapped, it reaches the food vacuole. In the food vacuole, the digestion process takes place as similar to that of the humans. Then also Paramecium, a unicellular organism, uses cilia for movement of the body, and they have a specific food in which the food is taken. Next topic that we need to learn is nutrition in human being. Nutrition in human being includes 4 different processes, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption and assimilation. And about this you might have learned in your earlier classes, that is in class 7. Let us understand the human digestive system. Figure here shows the human alimentary canal. Okay, the first process that I said in the human nutrition is ingestion. Ingestion means taking of the food from the buccal cavity. Buccal cavity comprises of teeth and tongue. Teeth helps in chewing the food, and tongue is used for the taste, and also it helps in softening the food. Tongue releases saliva. Saliva contains an enzyme known as salivary amylase, which is used for converting starch into simple sugar. Then the food from the mouth passes from the esophagus, that is the food pipe, and by the peristaltic movement it reaches the stomach. Stomach is an elastic bag which releases gastric gland, which has gastric gland, and it releases gastric juice. Gastric juice comprises of HCl, digestive juices, and mucus. Function of HCl is to make the stomach acidic medium, and also it helps in killing the bacteria that comes along with the food. Next that I said is digestive juices. Digestive juice secreted by the stomach is pepsin. Pepsin is used for breakdown of the protein into amino acid. And the next one is mucus. Mucus helps in protecting the inner lining of the stomach from the effect of the acid. Once the digestion is done, the food now is moved into the small intestine. In the small intestine, complete digestion takes place. Organs like liver and pancreas also release their secretion into the small intestine. Liver secretes bile juice and bile salt. Bile salt is used for emulsification of the fat globules, and bile juice helps in making the small intestine alkaline medium. Pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, which contains enzyme trypsin and lipase. Trypsin is used for breakdown of the remaining protein that are present in the food into simpler component, that is into amino acid, and lipase helps in emulsification of the fats. After this, from here, once the digestion is done, the food which is the simplest simplest form, that is glucose, gets absorbed into the blood from the small intestine. Small intestine comprises of finger-like projection known as villi, which helps in increasing the surface area of absorption. Thus the food is absorbed in the blood. From the blood, the food is being transported to the different parts of the body, which we call as assimilation process. Now, whatever the left out food is there, it goes to the large intestine. In the large intestine, the excess water is being absorbed, and the solid waste is then sent to the anus for time to time for egestion. Next process is respiration. Respiration is the process of obtaining energy by using glucose either in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of oxygen. So, respiration involves the breathing process, that is taking in and exhaling carbon dioxide. Taking in oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. Okay. There are two types of respiration. One aerobic respiration, another anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration means the respiration or the breakdown of the food which takes place in the presence of oxygen is known as aerobic respiration, whereas anaerobic respiration means the breakdown of the food which takes place in the absence of oxygen to produce energy is known as anaerobic respiration. Let us understand aerobic and anaerobic respiration in detail, looking into the figure 6.8. Okay. So the glucose, which is the simplest form of the food present in the blood, has 6 molecules of carbon. In the cytoplasm of the cell, it gets converted into pyruvate, which has 3 molecules. Now, this pyruvate, when in the presence of oxygen, if the breakdown takes place, it will get converted into carbon dioxide, water, and it will produce energy. This happens in the mitochondria of the cell. On the other hand, during the anaerobic respiration, that is in the absence of oxygen, which we find in case of the lower organism like yeast, in here we get ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Then another way of anaerobic respiration takes place, that is in the insufficient oxygen, which happens in the muscle cells of our body. In this process, the three carbon molecules, that is the pyruvate, gets converted into lactic acid and energy. And due to the accumulation of lactic acid, the muscle starts to pain for an athlete or a person who doesn't. Let us understand human respiratory system. The figure here shows all the organs that are involved in the human respiratory system. So, in the human respiratory system, how does this respiration occurs? Let me explain you. When we breathe in air, air passes from the nasal passage, which gets filtered through the hair which are present in the nasal passage. After the filtration, the air passes through the throat and it reaches the lungs. Inside the lungs, this passage again splits up into small bronchi. This bronchi again branches into bronchioles. This bronchioles ends up into air sac or the balloon-like structure called as alveoli. So, alveoli or the alveolar sac are the site for the exchange of the gases. When we breathe in air, the chest cavity enlarges, the diaphragm flattens, and the ribs lifts up, and thus the air fills in the lungs and also in the alveolar sac. Our blood has a respiratory pigment called as hemoglobin, which has high affinity towards oxygen. So, it helps in transporting oxygen from the lungs to the different parts of the body. Thank you.